Hi ladies, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we are speaking about feminine voice control once again, because even though I did like my previous feminine voice control video, I still get questions all the time, and as well underneath my last video on voice control. And the reason why I think is because of how I have changed my voice, dramatically. So I used to sound one way and now I sound another. So clearly I know what I'm talking about when it comes to feminine voice control, and I probably won't actually insert a clip of how I used to speak because it's so embarrassing, but I have left my videos up. Even though it is super embarrassing, I've still left the videos up and you can watch those if you want to hear how I used to sound, okay? But today we're going to be focusing on how you can improve your voice using voice control. And the reason why I call this voice control is because you have to literally be conscious of what is coming out of your mouth, the way that you're pronouncing things that are coming out of your mouth. So there is a control aspect to that, and that's why I named it feminine voice control. So if you're interested, keep on watching, and if you're new, you already know to subscribe, honey, because we speak about girly things, beneficial dating, la 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 la. And so subscribe and let's get into this. First things first, you must identify what you do not like about your voice. And you may not be able to pinpoint one specific thing, but you may know that you don't sound the way that you want to, and that is enough reason to be on this video and trying to change your voice. That's enough reason. But as long as you know that, look, that's a voice I like, that lady, she has a voice I like, and that's what I would like to sound like, then you start making steps to sound more like what you want to sound like. So the number one thing I always say to women when they ask me about how do they do the feminine voice control, how can they do it, la la la, the first thing I say is that they need to record themselves speaking. And when they are recording themselves speaking, when they play it back, they can't watch the video, because sometimes when you watch yourself speaking, it makes things sound different. If you solely hear the audio, it's going to be a different experience. Your ears are going to be working overtime and you're going to hear things that you wouldn't necessarily hear if you were using your eyes and watching yourself speaking in video form. So definitely record yourself speaking for about 2 minutes or so, because then you can hear yourself pronouncing different words and you can hear your diction over 2 minutes as opposed to 5 seconds. You want it to be at least 2 minutes. So you play that recording back, then you go over and you listen to somebody else whose voice you actually like, and you compare your voice to theirs and you see, okay, she pronounces all of her T's, I don't. Let me start pronouncing my T's. She uses the correct grammar, I don't know the correct grammar. Let me learn that so I can sound like I know what I'm actually talking about in the world. She has a softer voice, let me just soften mine up a little bit. And that is literally it, okay? That's the basics of it. But you must do it on a daily basis. It has to become a part of you. You can't just do it one day, just do it when you go on dates. It has to become a part of you. And the reason why I say that is because if it's not, then when you do go on dates, you're going to feel like you're not being yourself, and it may come across to the other person, or you just don't want to come off really like a weirdo. You don't want to come off really fake. You want to seem as though you are super transparent and that you're being yourself. That's how you want to come across. And for me, it's still a conscious thing, not all the time, only sometimes. I still have to think about, okay, look, I lost myself for a second, come on. Once you've done that, you should record yourself again sounding the way that you think you want to sound. So just record yourself the same way you did initially for that 2 minutes. You want to do that again, but this time you are doing the voice techniques that you want to have, and you're using that control and that conscious thinking, conscious awareness of how you sound, okay, on the video or on the audio. And you can do that a couple of times, then you can play about and see which one you actually prefer, and then that is the one, that is the voice control that you stick to and that you now do on a daily basis. So you don't just do it when you get in front of men. Well, you can if you want to, but for me, I wanted to change it totally, so I do it on a daily basis. So from that moment moving forward, as soon as you have established which recording you prefer the most, that's the voice that you practice on a daily basis with everybody who you speak to, with your mom, with your SD, with your boyfriend, with your granny, with everybody. You practice this voice, and naturally it's just going to become a part of your genetic makeup. Is just going to become a part of you. So granted, when you are in front of a man, and not just any old man, when you're in front of a very very alpha, that complete masculine energy, don't you naturally soften up anyway? That's basically what you're doing, okay? But of course, when you're in front of your mom, you're not going to be speaking how you would when you're in front of, sexy guy over there, there's a difference. But you can still have that element. So the softness will still remain, but the sexy softness is there when you're around, Mr. CEO, okay? So that's kind of how you do it. That's how I do it, and it's working for me. I'm actually at the point now that when I do revert sometimes, and sometimes you just slip up and you just, I guess, forget what the heck is going on, forget your voice control for like 10 seconds, it doesn't feel right to me, and I instantaneously realize and I change it. And I probably started doing my feminine voice control about 2 years ago. So it's sticking, honey. It is sticking, and I'm loving it. So one thing that happens with me is I get complimented a lot on my voice when I'm speaking to men, and I have done in my previous video, I'll link it, it's going to be up here, honey, and in the description box as well. In that feminine voice control video, I gave you actual examples of how you can change your voice up, because it's imperative, especially when you're going out on dates and you're trying to, not do the most, but you still need to command this man's attention. Feminine voice control does it. This is what I use on dates as well. Well, I just use it continuously, but when you're on a date, you're going to want to sound, more sexy as well. So there are things that you must do when you are on dates, and when you're even speaking to somebody on the phone, when you're sending a voice note, all of these moments when you are using your voice, you must do it consciously, otherwise you could really wind up sounding like Hellstar.
Hellstar, who dares to enter my lair?
Finally, someone normal to talk to. Hi, Hellstar.
Oh, a Monica. The only thing a mortal can do to please Hellstar is get on all fours and arch your back and submit to the master of darkness.
And have you seen that movie, The Wrong Missy? It's so funny. But anyway, so if you don't want to sound like Hellstar, and you do already sound like Hellstar, then you need to start your feminine voice control ASAP Rocky. And it will make it so that, it just gives you another edge over other women who look the part, they maybe act the part, but they don't sound it. But you look it, you act it, and you sound it. You see what I'm saying? So it's a win-win situation to improve the sound of your voice if you want to reap the most benefits and to command that attention from men on dates when you're opposite the table, and the only thing that you really have are these and your voice, you know, and your eyes, eye contact, etc. You know, I know that some people are going to feel as though they are being fake at that time when they first start trying to implement this control to the way that they speak. When they first start doing that, you may feel as though you are not being authentically yourself. You may feel like you are not being true to yourself, but at the end of the day, you are being true to yourself because you're making yourself the person who you want to be. And that's how I view it. I don't think that you are not being yourself. You're becoming the self who you feel like you are inside, and you're just making that, you know, something on the outside as well. So it is being authentic to yourself, and you do you basically. And before I started doing, you know, any type of, you know, voice control and feminine voice control, let's be very clear, because I didn't sound feminine before. I didn't sound girly. So as I was saying, so before I did the feminine voice control, I never got compliments on my voice, you know, but it just wasn't something that I thought about, and you know, like at all. It was not something that I thought about. I actually cannot even remember the first time I started implementing the voice control. I remember the first time I started trying to be more well-spoken. The reason why I was trying to be more well-spoken was because at the time I was dating somebody who was a barrister, he was a QC, and I was just feeling like he was so well-spoken, you know, perfect English, and I just didn't even feel comfortable speaking, to be honest. And that's when I first realized, look, I can't be embarrassed of the way that I sound. I'm going to do something about it. So I started working on my grammar. I started working on, you know, my pronunciation, and the feminine voice definitely came before that. I was trying to soften it before I was improving the diction. So yeah, you've got to go at your own pace, do it how you feel and however works for you. But at the end of the day, feminine voice control works, and it makes the world of difference when it comes to your own self-confidence when speaking to people who are more well-spoken, when you're going on dates and you're wanting to wow the person with your complete package, not just rely on, you know, you know, you've got to have other things going for you as well, you know. So I think it's about knowing how to use proper grammar. You know, this is something that I'm still improving on. Sometimes there are, you know, I have slip-ups, or I may not even know what the correct grammar should be, but I'm still learning and I'm still trying. So that's what you guys can do as well. And yes, I'm going to love you and leave you, and I'll see you in my next video.